Namaste. Welcome to Practices for Inner Peace. My name's Todd Norian. I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga, and welcome to my living room, which is becoming the Ashaya World Studios. So I'm very happy that we can be practicing together during this time. There's no peace without deep acceptance. What is deep acceptance? It's our capacity to be with what is. We need to have acceptance. Acceptance becomes like this gateway that you step into, and it opens you into your heart. And a lot of times we say, oh, I accept, but we still go on feeling sad. We still carry resentment. We still have a lot of anger issues and all that, but yet we say we're accepting. Deep acceptance is pure. Deep acceptance purifies you such that in the psychic space of deep acceptance, there's no negative psychic energy. In other words, you know that you've gotten to a place of integration and deep acceptance when, after you have dealt with an issue, there's no residue, and yet we can still have learning from that experience, or we want to pull wisdom from each of those experiences. But it's a very interesting concept that to be able to accept and go deep into acceptance, you have to become receptive. You need to open. You need to let go. You need to be open to a bigger energy. Acceptance does help you flow much more fully and deeply around obstacles, and it helps you go right into the heart. Deep acceptance helps put you into alignment with your highest self. Because when we have this deep acceptance, automatically we feel full, we feel whole, we feel complete. And yes, like we can't stop things from happening. It's that idea of let's let go of trying to change the unchangeable. When you accept the unchangeable, then there's integration, and we start to see a glimmer of light. We start to see a glimmer of hope. And that's really what keeps us connected to our heart. As soon as you reject or resist, your heart closes. And now we're no longer sort of in that sphere, that holding place of feeling love and feeling whole and complete. And then we just, fill the space with judgments, negative psychic debris and all that. A lot of that is just our instinct to protect ourselves. Absolutely. We all have that. We're not separate from that. But the whole idea that when you accept deeply, that space that you go into is devoid of the negative sort of self-limiting concepts. And that's really what we want to get to in our practice, how to accept and be fully present. And acceptance is not complacency at all. Deep acceptance, actually you feel inspired, determined to actually make a difference and to act. So I talk about the 3 A's of Ashaya Yoga, and it's awareness, acceptance, and then appropriate action. Awareness is of the mind. We have to become aware of what's happening, what we're not accepting, and then we have to invite the heart to open through acceptance. So it's mind, heart, and then action is body. And we know that this is the path of Ashaya Yoga, an integration of body, mind, and heart. Take a comfortable seat. Turn your thigh bones in. Draw your tailbone down. Index fingers and thumbs together. This is Jnana Mudra. This is our capacity to be receptive. We want to open and receive from the bigger energy of grace. So index finger is like our individual self, our limited self, and it touches the universal. Palms down. Close your eyes with a sense of deep acceptance, and use the breath now to connect you from outside to inside. Inhale, breathe into your heart and all the way down through your belly. As you exhale, release whatever blocks acceptance. And usually it's some kind of disappointment, maybe a resistance, or it could be some hurt. All of this contracts the heart. And as much as you can, when you inhale, open to the light of acceptance. The light of the universe is already accepting you just as you are. And then exhale, clear the way, release what's no longer needed. Breathe in inner peace and acceptance. Exhale, let go. And then lengthen your side ribs with the light of the universe, head of the arm bones back. Lengthen all the way up through your throat, draw your palate back. Anchor your hips, let your hips get very heavy, and then float the top of your head toward the sky. When we deeply accept ourselves, a beautiful open space expands inside of us. We come back home to ourselves. We recognize you're already whole and complete. Deep acceptance helps us identify with the divine in us, as us. May I love and accept myself exactly for who I am and where I am right now. Set an intention for yourself for the next hour to explore how you can even more fully accept yourself. Palms in front of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Let's take a breath and chant one Om together. Om. With deep acceptance, gently bow. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Namaste. Come on up to a standing position. By the way, you're going to need a yoga belt for later on in the class. Come to the front of your mat, feet parallel, palms in front. Inhale, reach your arms up and stretch. Exhale, release your arms down. Palms in front. Coordinate your movement with the breath. First breathe and then let your movements follow. With deep self-acceptance, it helps you align with the greater energy already inside of you. Exhale. And then one more. Inhale, stretch up, look up, reach up. And then exhale, fold. Lead with your heart. With acceptance, fold forward and bow. Bend your knees a little bit. Breathe into your hamstrings. Can you accept your hamstrings just as they are right now? Let's try it. Inhale, heart forward halfway. Exhale, bow and accept. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, deep acceptance. Deep acceptance is not apathy. It's not wimpy in a way. Because to really get to acceptance, you have to let go. Acceptance is a purified space inside. Lift and spread your toes. Put your hands on your outer shins and hug your shins in and widen your thighs apart. Acceptance has a quality of embrace. You're willing to engage and embrace with life as it is. Engage your shins. But then turn your thighs in and widen your thigh bones apart. Acceptance opens space deep inside. Shins in, thighs wide. Keep the actions, touch the floor, heart forward. And then exhale, go back into downward facing dog pose. Alternately press your heels and stretch. Each breath infused with self-acceptance. Stretch your calf, your Achilles tendon. And just get into the feeling of the stretch. It feels so good to open. And bend your knees, come all the way down to the floor. Look at your hands. Take your wrist creases so they're pointing straight ahead to the front of your mat. Center of the wrist as wide as your outer shoulders. Make those adjustments. It's very subtle. And then spread your fingers evenly. Many times you'll see, like a lot of times the fourth and fifth finger, the fourth and third finger are closer together. So just widen your fingers evenly. So they're like little sunbursts. And then claw the pads of your fingers. Press the metacarpal knuckles down. A lot of times you press the pads, which is underneath the nails, and the index finger knuckle comes up. your hand is a representation of your scapula. The inner edge of your hand represents the medial or inner edge of your scapula. And when the index finger lifts up, the inner edge of your hand lifts away from the floor, the scapula starts to wing, and then that makes you vulnerable to injury. So if we want to work strong shoulder blade action, you have to start with the hands, okay? So 4 corners of the hands, index finger knuckle, heel of the thumb, little finger knuckle, heel of the outer edge of your hand, claw, pads, and roots. And what's interesting is when you engage that way, a space opens up, and that's the arch of your hand. The carpal arch also lifts away from the floor. So we engage in order to have more space. Then melt the upper back, deep acceptance. Now go up into downward dog pose. Pull from your hands up into your heart. Engage, lift your armpits, but then release your heart. Deep acceptance requires a letting go. Bend your knees, hug your shins, turn your thighs in, and lift your sitting bones up. We want the low back to be like an acceptance slide. It's like a little wave. Lift your sitting bones. Then draw your tail in, and from your heart, push your hands from your heart, lift through your back, all the way down through the backs of your heels. Now, root the base of your shins back, but lift your armpits up. Shins back, armpits up. Shins back, armpits up. Breathe. Exhale, right foot forward. Come on to your eagle talons here. You can also use blocks under your hands. Breathe. Lean onto your left hand, stretch your right arm up. Lift your left thigh a little higher, draw your right hip back and down more, and then stretch your right arm over your ear. Look up, breathe. Exhale, bring your right hand back down. Squeeze your legs to the middle and see if you can stand up, hands to your hips. Lots of pressure now on the legs. Here's a good one. Stretch your arms out to the side. Lift your ribs. Scissor your legs. And then we're going to tip towards the left. Hold your balance. Now you have to squeeze your legs to the midline and bring your left fingertips down almost to the floor. Some of you can go all the way down and then come up. Try it to the right side. Touch and come up. Inhale, reach your arms up, curl back, arch back, and breathe. Exhale, release your arms down and touch. Step back, downward facing dog pose. Take several deep breaths. Bend your knees a little, move the base of your shins back. And then ultimately you want to stretch your legs straight, but not at the expense of the low back. If you bend your knees, then you can get the curve in your back. Low back curve is essential. Exhale, left foot forward, fingertips. Breathe, settle, accept. Engage your legs now. Lean onto your right hand, lift your left arm up, and breathe. Don't let your right leg fall. So take your thigh, lift the right thigh up. Left hip crease goes back and down. Stretch your left arm over your ear, thumb up. Breathe, turn your heart to the sky more. As you're in the stretch, release resistance. And can you enjoy the stretch? Yeah. Or how could you enjoy the stretch more? I know, coming out of the pose. All right, come back to center and then squeeze your legs and we come up, hands to hips. Hold and breathe. Stretch your arms out to the side. Hug your legs to the middle. And we have this funky kind of stretch. So bring your right fingertips down. Hold your balance. Inhale, come up. And of course, if you fall, accept yourself. Okay, and then try going to the left side and down and up And then arms up overhead. Breathe. Lift your heart more, curl back, arch back. And exhale. Touch, step back, plank. Slowly come down to chaturanga. Put your knees on the floor if you need to, otherwise keep your knees up. Thighs back, tailbone in. Hug your shoulder blades more. Remember, index finger knuckles stay down. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, cobra. Nice deep breaths. Lengthen your side ribs. Arm bones back. As the cobra, see if you can stretch and lengthen your spine more. And shoulders go back, but the heart goes forward. So you might even come down a little bit to get the heart to go forward more. To increase all that, engage your palms and pull them back. Bottom tips of the shoulder blades curl into the back of the heart. Index finger knuckles down. Check. A lot of times we have these habits that we do in our hands. So this just brings a lot more awareness. Exhale down. Come back, child's pose. Big toes touch, knees a little bit wider. Arms in front, forehead down. Acceptance brings a kind of softness. Let yourself go into it. Then inhale, come up, downward dog. Inhale, right leg high, lift. Bend your right knee, stretch your leg and hip all the way up over to the left. Stretch, breathe. Exhale, big lunge forward. And then bring your left knee down to the floor. Walk your hands over to the left. Bring your forearms down to the floor. Just deep hip stretch. And you can use blocks underneath your forearms so you're not that far down. Keep your back toes curled. Hug your shins to the middle. Widen your left thigh to the left, right hip to the right. And then pull your tailbone in. And with deep acceptance, try to let go a little bit more in the pose. Continue to hug in. So when I say let go, it's kind of paradoxical. We engage in order to let go. So engage in order to stretch. And even as you engage, see if you can soften. Bring your forearms parallel to the inner edge of the right foot, left knee up. Lift your inner left thigh more, tailbone in. Exhale, release. Come up on your hands, and then walk your hands back until your right leg is straight. Root your heel, pull isometrically back until you start to feel a stretch in your hamstring. Again, can be very helpful to put your hands up on blocks so you don't have to go so far. You know, one of the key things is you can accept that you have tight hamstrings, but even tight is a little bit judgmental. You know, it's like, oh, I think I failed because I have tight hamstrings, or I shouldn't have tight hamstrings. Let's use the word stable. Wow, you have stable hamstring muscles. So root the heel and pull back with deep acceptance. The yogi, we want to do the best we can with what we've been given. Okay, so you work right within where you are. That's deep acceptance. Then exhale, bow if you can. I'm going to be giving a lot of variations here. I'll call them bus stops, so we're going to go further and further, and you just want to get off at your stop. Exhale now, twist to your right, and then bow again. Isometrically drag your right heel backward. That's isometrically. Widen your right thigh to the right. Inhale back to center. Bend your knee and then go back into downward dog pose and breathe. Deep acceptance brings you into the present moment, being here now, rather than worrying or fearing or fretting what's coming. So we have two sides. We're going to do the second side. Inhale, left leg up, inner thigh up more. Then bend your left knee and bring your knee and hip over toward the right. Root the base of your right shin down, right where the ankle is, and continue. Nice deep breaths. So we're doing these stretches to get into the areas that we chronically clutch and hold. Exhale, lunge. Bring your left knee down and walk your hands 45 degrees over to the right. Bring your forearms down on the floor or onto blocks. Scissor your legs toward the middle, hug your shins, widen your thighs apart. Tailbone in, and melt the upper back, and breathe. To get to deep acceptance, you need patience. And we just live in such a fast-paced life. Maybe that's one of the benefits of having to slow down like this. We have a little more time during the day. We could actually slow down, smell the flowers, and breathe. Patience. When you give deep acceptance to your body, the body opens. When you force your body or strain it, it's a little bit of pressure on the body. The body can actually close down. Now bring your forearms parallel to the inner edge of your left foot. Lift your right knee off the floor as best you can. Top of the right thigh goes up. Tailbone in. Nice deep breaths. Exhale, knee down, come up. Walk your hands back. Left leg straight, root the heel, pull isometrically back, tailbone in, and bow. One good thing about being stable in the hamstrings is there's never a dull moment. You cannot tell me you're bored. You're like just trying to save your own life. Spread your toes. Do this. Put your left hand on your left outer shin and hug. Widen your left thigh. So the technique is going to help open the hamstring and also open the hips. So the shins hug in. The thighs widen apart. In the Ashaya method, we're really using the second and third essentials here. And in the 5 elements, it's earth and water. So the water is going to move more swiftly when you have steep and strong river banks. When the banks are really loose or they have holes in them or they're just not clear, the river will meander. So we need the boundary here in order to get the hip to open. Twist to your left and then bow. Hold. Release, inhale, come up. Bend your knee and step forward, Uttanasana. Root down through your feet, sweep your arms out to the side, and come all the way up. Look up, and then exhale, release, arms down by your sides. Take a wide stance. Bring your ankles as wide as your wrists are wide. And then square your left foot to the back edge of your mat. Right foot is open. Squeeze your legs to the middle and exhale, Parsvakonasana. Left hand to hip. You just rest your forearm here. It's a nice, easy variation of the pose. Squeeze your legs. Take your thigh bones back. Draw your tailbone in. And then with deep self-acceptance, stretch your arm up overhead. Breathe. Today, we're going to practice a slightly different technique. We want to lift the heart up towards the sky. But I'm going to have you move your thighs back, draw your tailbone in, and move your belly towards the earth. So your heart lifts up. So the upper torso is twisting this way, but the lower torso is twisting the opposite direction. So lift your heart way up toward the sky. And then the left lower belly is turning toward the right sitting bone. For those that want to go a little bit deeper, we're going to go to the inside of the right foot with the hand, and then press your shoulder into your knee arch back a little bit. Breathe. Root through your feet. Inhale, come up. Hands to your hips. Go to the other side. Square right, open left, squeeze, bend your knee. Forearm on your thigh, and just rest for a moment. There's a lot of work in Ashaya Yoga. We do a lot of endurance, a lot of sort of long holding times because the technique is so rich and you need time to feel it. But then there's these little pauses, like right now, and that's the time where you just let your whole body relax and open. Engage your legs, thighs back, tailbone in. And then stretch your right arm over your ear. Turn your right thumb up if you can. Turn your heart more to the sky, but the belly turns toward the earth. Heart up. Lower right side of your belly moves toward the left sitting bone. And what this does is it just increases the idea of the twist. And it also keeps your lower ribs in. A lot of great benefits of this. And one step deeper, left fingers down to the floor or on a block to the inside of the left foot. Lean into the left knee. Heart up, belly down. Root your legs. Inhale. Come up, hands to hips. Step your feet back together. Rest for a moment. These standing poses really help you get more of a connection to the earth, much more grounded. Let's do a couple more. Legs wide. Turn your right foot open. Hug legs to the middle. Go to warrior two. So keep your torso perpendicular. Just bend your right leg. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Thighs back, tailbone in. Look over your right fingers. And breathe. The yogi knows how to stay in the place of inner peace, even when there's chaos. And it always requires this level of acceptance. Deep acceptance brings consciousness. We have to tell our nervous system that there's no emergency right now. And even if there is, I'm going to stay calm first so I can figure out what to do. Then turn your right palm up. We're going to go to reverse warrior two. Arc back, lean left hand to left thigh. Open it up more. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Stretch your right leg straight. Pull up through the kneecaps. Keep the upward pull in the legs as you exhale, Trikonasana pose. Left hand to your hip. Bring your right fingers down to the outside of the right shin or right ankle. Move your thigh bones back, tail in, and then stretch your right arm up. Shine like a star now from your pelvis down through your legs and from your pelvis through your torso. Lengthen the spine more. Arm bones back. Even your palate goes back. And if you can, turn your head to look up past your thumb. Breathe. Left arm over the ear. Spin the left arm down to the floor. Turn your back foot in and walk it in just a bit. And go to Parsvottanasana. Hips square, facing the right foot. Left hip forward, right hip back. Breathe and bow. Then we're going to go to a kind of crazy Parsvottanasana. So turn your back foot all the way to the right, left foot to the right. So you come onto the little toe edge of your left foot and then drag your left leg forward isometrically. So scissors. It's like a huge pigeon toe of the back leg. And then if you want to keep going here, then walk your hands over to the right, and we're moving towards a kind of a weird rotated triangle pose. But we're going to keep going until we go into Ashvattasana, banyan tree pose. So what is that? Well, once you've walked your hands all around, then you put one hand on your right ankle, one hand on the left knee or left shin. Balance is quite the issue here. And then exhale, release, bend your right knee, step back, downward facing dog pose. And breathe. Self-acceptance, whether you can do the full pose or not, be where you are. That's really what the yoga is. Be where you are. Expand your boundary a little bit. You might surprise yourself, but don't push yourself. Exhale, left foot forward now. Turn myself around. And walk your hands over to the right. Spin your right foot square to the back edge. Come up, hands to your hips. Widen your stance a bit. Bend your left leg. Arms up, warrior two. Move your thigh bones back, tailbone in. And try to guide your left knee so center knee is in line with toe 2 and 3. It's going to want to drop in towards the big toe. Resist that a little bit. Look out over your left fingers and breathe. Then turn your left palm and rise up. Stretch. Breathe, enjoy the stretch. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Left leg straight. Pull up through the kneecaps. Try to keep your legs super solid. And then exhale, lean out over your left leg. Right hand to your hip. And bring your left hand down to the outside of your left shin or ankle. Or on a block is fine. Thighs back, tailbone in. And then turn your belly and heart toward the sky. And then stretch up. And just like we did in the Parsvottanasana pose, lift your heart more toward the sky, but turn your belly toward the earth. It's just a very subtle turning of the belly in as you lift your heart. Widen your right thigh back and behind you, and then draw your tailbone in. Turn your head, look up past your right thumb. And bring your right arm over the ear. Exhale, spin down to the floor. Step your back foot a few inches forward now. You shorten your stance, turn your back foot in. And then scissor your legs. Try to pull your right hip forward and left hip back. And again, you can have your hands on blocks. If this is really difficult for you, you would go to a wall or a chair. You can just go this far down with your hands at the wall. Your balance will be great. And the whole point is keep getting a full stretch, but not too much stretch. Scissor your legs more. Then turn your back foot all the way left, pigeon toe. So the little toe edge of your right foot is on the floor, and you drag it forward while you push top of the left thigh back. This is plenty of stretch right now for most people. I would say if you don't feel a stretch, check your pulse immediately. Walk your hands over to the left, scissor, and we're going to keep going until Ashvattasana, banyan tree, hands on ankles. Offer a steady flow of self-acceptance. Oh, do what you can. And exhale, release. And step back, downward facing dog pose. Rest in downward dog. Exhale, right foot to the left of center between your hands. Right foot to the left of center. And then roll to the little toe edge of your right foot. Bring your left knee to the mat. And your right hip's not quite down yet. So you walk your hands a little bit over to your left and then lean your right hip out to the right more. Breathe. Keep the boundary of the left shin strong. So you got to keep your back foot heels perpendicular. Okay, don't let it wimp out that way. You just keep it straight up and down. And you pull from the left little toe to the outer heel. That will distract you from the intense pain and suffering in your right hip. Then put your left hand in the sole of the right foot and push foot to hand, hand to foot. This is the eyeball rolling pose. And I'm not talking about eyes rolling up. When you push your foot into your hand, your eyeballs will roll to the outside of your head. They widen. Oh. Then tail in, fold forward. If you want to go further, then bring your right elbow into the sole of the foot if you can. Head of the arm bones back, look up and breathe. Very deep hip stretch. And then try to get the upper arm into the foot, even the shoulder into the foot. Armpits have to pull back and breathe. Inhale, come up and switch carefully. We are oiling the hips today. A lot of times where rejection gets stuck, non-self-acceptance gets stuck. Acceptance is related to the water element, and it's really about how to flow more deeply in life, with life. Left foot to the right of center. Roll to the little toe edge of your left foot, right knee down. Keep your right toes active. They're curled under. And then widen your left hip to the left and kind of ease it down toward the floor. We'd like to get the left hip down before the left knee goes down. But to do that, you have to inner rotate the left thigh and widen. Well done. Place your right hand in the sole of the left foot and push foot to hand and hand to foot. And that will produce a widening aspect in the femoral heads, the ball and socket joint. So you push, and there it widens. Then draw your tailbone in, fold forward. Twist to your right, bring your left elbow into the sole of the foot. Arm bones back. Breathe, self-acceptance. You just go as much as you can go and then let go and see if you can go even further. You have to let the signals in your body, the pain in your body tell you. If it hurts good, you can hold it. You can even go a little more. But if it gets into intense pain, you have to back off. The body it's unforgiving that way. So that's why we have to listen to it. Okay, here we go. Middle of the upper arm in the foot. If you can get your left shoulder into the foot, go there. Arm bones back. And breathe. Every time you go into a deep stretch like this and you breathe, it's like putting WD-40 into the joint. You are oiling it with prana, with blood flow, with synovial fluid. Everything is activated. Inhale, come up. And exhale, carefully go back. Bend your knees down to the floor and come on to your back. Take hold of your belt And we don't need it clasped. But lie on your back and put the belt around your right foot. Like this. Stretch up. First, keep your left knee bent. And then roll toward your sitting bones until the waistline, the low back area lifts away from the floor. Important not to compress the low back and flatten it. So keep the low back curve, and that's going to require you to move muscles in your hips. The thigh bone has to push back in order for the low back curve to go. Typically when we say, okay, imprint your back to the floor, we flatten it. You're doing a big external rotation of the thighs, and the femoral heads move forward, and that creates problems later. So low back curve, and then press your right thigh away from you as you pull on the belt. So all these actions, it's all paradoxical, even and opposite actions. We want to make all contrasts complementary through deep acceptance. Now, hold that, stretch your left leg straight, root the heel, and try to bring your left thigh all the way down, back of the thigh to the floor. Come on, all the way down. If you have a family member nearby, just ask them to come and stand on your left thigh. Hold both ends of the belt with your right hand, and the right leg will go out to the right. Go as far as you can. And then once you're all the way out, lightly scissor your legs toward the middle. And don't let your left thigh follow. You have to stay steady. Left leg is unmoving, autonomous, while the right leg goes out. Inhale, right leg up. Hold the belt with your left hand. Let's go slowly across midline to the left. And then can you go all the way over and roll to your left hip? Take your left thigh back, tailbone in. Of course, your right shoulder will come up. And then bring your right arm out to the right side in a cactus, half cactus pose. And then work to get your right shoulder to go toward the floor. And accept wherever it is, but we're going to work with it. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation, and you need to be careful of that. Acceptance is consciously understanding what you have power to change and what you don't. And we understand that when we can accept fully, it brings you into the power of your heart and the power of love. So we grow ourselves through accepting ourselves, rather than intense criticism, intense rejection. That seems to have been the old model of learning. Well, if you can just criticize someone enough, they'll get better. Maybe that's true, but it certainly leaves a kind of shame residue. Tailbone in. Now stretch your right arm up overhead. You're going to have to play between the right foot off the floor and the right shoulder on the floor. Let's see if we can get the right shoulder down more. There it is. And then grab the belt and come up. Exhale, release. And switch. Left foot is up. Bend your right knee, right foot's on the floor. And first thing we do is go for the low back curve. Deep acceptance pulls you into alignment with the divine in you, and alignment with nature and the nature of your body. We need a low back curve. We're designed that way. Then pull on the belt, but push your left thigh back. Pull on the belt, left thigh back. And more. Now stretch your right leg out, root the right heel, and then try to get through right thigh to go all the way down to the floor. And breathe. If you get a little too goal-oriented in this pose, you'll want to bring your left foot all the way down to your ear. A lot of times I say toes to the nose. But then your right thigh is going to pop up off the floor and you flattened your back. The priority is natural curve in the back. So back off your left leg. Who cares? Put your right thigh down. And then low back has the curve. As long as you keep the curve, pull your leg in. It's a whole different stretch. And this is how those of you that are like really flexible and limber, this is going to add strength and stability to your flexibility. It's so good for the joints, so good for the back, good for the hip. And ultimately, it will afford you even more flexibility. Breathe. Hold the belt with your left hand. Let's take it out to the left. Right leg stays steady and still. Breathe. Inhale, left leg up, cross midline, hold with your right hand, and slowly come all the way down or as far as you can. Roll to your right hip, take your right thigh back, tailbone in, and then left arm is out to the side, elbow bent. As you're ready, reach your left arm even more. Scissor your legs, enjoy the stretch. And then you kind of play with left foot down, left shoulder down. Now breathe. Now accept and breathe. And inhale. Up. Exhale, release. Rest for a moment. Enjoy the after effect. Okay, roll to your side, come up. And our last pose, Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose. Start in Dandasana, legs straight out, and baby cradle. So take your right foot in. Try to keep your low back up rather than slouch down. You keep your heart up, low back in. And put your right foot in the crease of the left elbow. And you hold your shin high, and then bring your baby towards your heart. And press your right knee away. Right foot towards you, right knee away. And all the stretch should be either hamstring and hip or just hip around this area. Breathe. Good. And switch. Like all seated poses in Ashaya yoga, we want to have the low back in the appropriate curve the whole time. So sitting up, elevating the hips will make that easier for you to sit with the low back curve. Left foot into the right elbow. Lift your shin, and then pull your foot towards you. Press your left knee away from you. Good. Keep your right foot active, right heels down, and breathe. Create a smile of suffering. The yoga smile. Anyway, we need that muscle to open in order to get into Agni Stambhasana, so that's why. Okay, release. Now, elevate your hips. It'll be easier for you, unless you know you don't need that. Right shin down in front, left ankle on top of the right knee. So that's basically the starting place. If this is just completely impossible for you, you are going to do Sukhasana this way, where you just put your ankles under both knees. I'm going to put my left ankle on top of the right knee. Then you lift your hips, turn your thighs in, and stick your butt back. Then draw your tail down And as best you can, slide the right shin out so the ankle's underneath the knee. Flex your feet, press your little toe edges down toward the floor, and here's where the action comes, is you push your feet into your hands. So you get this kind of action through the legs, and it opens the hips. It's just an amazing action in the hips. You want to try to get the feeling of the stretch in the hip joint. Inner rotate your right thigh more, outer rotate your left. So you take the outer left hip crease back and down, trying to anchor the left sitting bone down. Then tailbone in, strike the match, and fold forward into the fire log. And if you've got smoke coming out of your hips right now, release immediately. Otherwise, let it burn. Oh. And see, even just with a little bit of acceptance and breath, with my knees almost all the way down. Okay, inhale, come up. So, it takes practice, it takes a lot of patience, and sometimes you just have to modify because your hips don't do that. So sitting on a block or sitting on a couple blankets is good. Okay, so switch. Left shin in front, right ankle on left knee. Whole different side. Put your hands by your sides. You lift your hips, stick your butt way back, then flex your feet. Little toe edges have to push toward the floor. Then hands and soles of feet, and push your feet into your hands. You'll see the knee's going to lower at least an inch as soon as you push your feet into the hands, because you're positioning the head of the femur in a more optimal position inside of the cup. Then tailbone in, strike the match, fold forward, and then from your pelvis, extend your femur bones forward. And then from your pelvis, lengthen your spine. And breathe. It'll be over soon. Oh. And inhale, come up. Come into Shavasana now, lying your back. Draw your knees into your chest, and then relax fully. Bring your arms by your sides, palms up. Let your feet gently roll out. Take a big breath in. When you exhale, exhale with deep acceptance. Release the muscles from the bones. Release all the large bone assemblies, the hips and pelvis, the shoulders and shoulder blades, and the skull. Your breath flow through your entire body now, and relax any muscle that might feel tight. And then can you relax your palms? Can you release the fingers and the tips of the fingers? That will have an effect on your shoulders, Release the root of your tongue, and that softens the entire neck and throat. Begin to relax the small muscles of the face. Let your jaw go. Relax your lips on the surface of your teeth. Relax your nose, your ears, and your eyes. Let your eyes soften. Deep acceptance really affects the eyes. Instead of showing strain or anger or resentment, deep acceptance allows your eyes to be as vast as the oceans. Relax your eyebrows, forehead, sides of the head, relax the back of your head, and finally relax your entire body, filled with the light of deep acceptance. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to become. Become receptive and receive the healing energies of the universe. The waters of deep acceptance flow like nectar. Our psyche is restored. We all long to be. Now very gradually begin to deepen your breath. Receive the blessing of deep acceptance in the form of your breath. Breathe down to your fingers, to your toes. Every part of you acceptable. More than enough. And then move fingers and toes, gently stretch through your body. And when you're ready, very lovingly bend your knees in toward your chest. Roll to your right side. Come into the fetal position. Remember, as you're ready, slowly come up to sitting. Sit strong and tall. Join your index fingers and thumbs. And then close your eyes. Let the muscles of your face stay calm and relaxed. No expression is needed. We release any kind of mask or facade. Nothing needed to hide behind, because you are already whole and complete, lovable, acceptable as you are. So let all facades melt. Let the authentic, vulnerable, but strong you arise and shine. In the field of deep acceptance, there is purity, no negative psychic debris, because deep acceptance is accepting yourself through and through. It actually dissolves the regret, the guilt, the anxiety or worry that masks our ability to truly accept ourselves. Deep acceptance is a spiritual practice. It evolves over time. And if you're not able to accept yourself or get to that state of deep acceptance, then whatever it is you're feeling, be there fully. And that's part of grace too. From a place of deep inner peace now, bring your palms together in front. May you radiate this peace throughout your entire day. And know that when you accept yourself more fully, that's what you have to offer others. And you're only able to accept others to the degree and the extent that you accept yourself. And so we practice. Take a deep breath in and let's chant Om. Namaste. Thank you so much. Have a great day. If you'd like to join me for the Pillars of Peace 30-day challenge, it's going on now, and you're welcome to join. And you can go to ashayayoga.com and go to practice online. I'll be back again next week. I'm going to do every Thursday Facebook Live, so I hope you'll join me. Take care, stay strong, stay healthy, be in inner peace. Bye.